All right, Splash It podcast. It's our third show. I'm FP Santangelo, washed up has been Giant, current Giant broadcaster. Susan Slusser for the Chronicle is a frequent guest on the show, but today it's all about our special guest. He's going to join us for the first half of the show. He is a Gold Glove winner and the Giants ace, Logan Webb. Webby, thanks for coming on, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I mean, tell us about the Gold Glove. That's pretty cool, and how that whole came into fruition, and the award itself. I think it's the coolest trophy in all of baseball, besides the big one that's right there in the clubhouse when you walk on the right. But talk about winning the Gold Glove.
Yeah, it was definitely something I wanted to get better on defense. I didn't necessarily want to. It wasn't like Gold Glove or bust, right? And I think that's Patty's goal. I think now that he's done it a couple of times, and but I just wanted to kind of get better at defense. I felt like especially holding runners. I didn't know that was that big of a part of it, but it was. And I just wanted to put the team honestly in a better position. I think I was hurting myself and the team by letting guys run all over me. And I wanted to get better at it. And it's an honor to win it. It's really cool that I didn't know until I got on that interview a week or two ago when they said we're the first one since Wainwright and Yachty. I feel like anytime you're in a conversation with those two guys, it's really special. And yeah, I got to go to the ceremony in New York. They put on an amazing event at the Plaza. Got to meet a bunch of cool guys and people there. And yeah, the award is really cool. I don't get to see mine until next year when I finally get to go out there with the other guys and accept it before one of the games. But yeah, I got to. I don't know if you saw the video of me seeing the glove for the first time, but it was really cool, and happy I can share it, especially with Patty too. He's one of the best defenders in baseball, if not the best, if you look at metrics and other stuff. But being able to say I can do it with him was awesome.
I mean,
Logan, you and I talked a lot about, especially early in the season, about the work you were doing about holding runners. How did somebody help you with that? Like, were there any real keys for you for that? Because I'm sure but like by the middle of the season, you were so far in front of the other pitchers in terms of all the metrics on holding runners. It was outrageous, and it just took like kind of the off season and then the start of the season working on it. So that was really incredible.
Yeah, so it started honestly the year before, which is funny because I was like the third worst defender at the pitcher position, but we were trying to work on some different things, and I had a bad spring. I was trying to be quick. And Boma was like, don't worry about that. We want you to make your pitches, and it didn't hurt necessarily that much, but I felt like I think the Cardinal game, I told you guys, the Cardinal game the year before was really tough. Thankfully, I had a guy over there that I knew, Mr. Brandon, that was like, hey, you got to clean some of this stuff up. And I did. I worked on it. I tried to get better. I definitely had some. I mean, the game nowadays, it goes off of tips and crazy enough, I mean, I didn't know it. I would always wonder why guys would steal on me so easily. But there's tips. There's tips that involve that. There's cameras everywhere now. So I was just kind of doing some stuff that would keep the same rhythm, the same taps. I know you watch Gosman throw. You got a bunch of the leg taps, and I kind of probably watched him and started doing it, and I realized I was at that point tipping a little bit. Guys would know when I was going home. So a lot of people, JP, Bomel, Rhino, Matt Williams, Mark Hallberg. I mean, it was a whole group. Garvin Alston. I really I would try my best in bullpens. When you first show up, you're throwing pens, and a lot of the times you're just trying to get a good feel for stuff. And I would ask them, put the clock out there and see if I can try to hold a little bit better and be a little quicker. And I think I got into a game, and I know in spring training everyone tries to steal, and the first couple games I was just trying to be a little quicker. I was trying to be try some different things with the clock, and change the tempo a little bit, and it was working. And I don't think I had a stolen base attempt in spring, which was, I was like, maybe I'm doing something right. So I just tried to keep it going.
That's amazing.
Well, I mean, Webby, you're being modest right now. I mean, you have made the improvements in holding runners, but you're also an athlete out there. And in the clubhouse, pitchers aren't athletes. We go back and forth all the time. But you're a high school quarterback, and all the plays you made. The one that stands out to me this year, there were some cool ones, but getting over on the double play against the Dodgers and the emotion you showed after touching the base. I mean, you've had the diving plays where you dive at first base, but I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. It's not just about holding runners. Like, you're an athlete out there when you pitch.
I try to be. It is the joke in the clubhouse that pitchers aren't athletes, and to be honest, when you look at most pitchers run, and then you look at some of these guys run, it holds some truth. But yeah, I think, especially because I get so many ground balls, I feel like I have to be, able. I wanted to get better at catching balls too. I know there's a lot of times when there's a lot of balls hit hard, especially right back at me. So I gotta um, be good at that. And then the getting over part, I wasn't great at that. I mean, there's just so many parts that I felt like I needed to be better at to help the team out. Not getting, a ball gets hit to first, I got to get over if I'm late. Not only is that hurting, the team, but it's also hurting yourself by not getting the double play to get out of the inning. So I just wanted to, I just felt like I needed to, in all those parts of the game, I needed to get better at.
Yeah, you're keeping a lot more double plays in line too with holding the runners
Yeah,
better. So,
yeah.
like in every way, and you're getting over to first better to complete the back end of some of those double plays.
Yeah.
So
And
like everything just worked together. It was perfect.
well, that's what kind of JP said at the end of last year. He's like, hey, if we just get better at this, you might have, I don't know, eight to 10 less runs at the end of the season. And, that's a big part of your, like, not only for the team, but like your ERA and some other stuff. And it's like, why don't we just try to clean up a little bit? And I think at the end of the year, JP kind of showed me a stat, and I don't know how all the analysts do all this stuff, but they can figure out, like, if you didn't let him steal the base, he saved this many runs, and I saved a decent amount of runs. So um, that's what the name of the game is, just trying to keep the team in the game as long as possible. And if I'm you know being a dumbass out there and giving up a stolen base because I feel bad about it. So just like I said, trying to get better for all those guys. And you got Patty behind the plate, so give him a chance to throw the guy out.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that. You could have won a Silver Slugger award too, if that was still an award for pitchers. You might have won that too. But we got to get to the offseason news. Tony Vitello, he's your new manager. What are your impressions? When was the first time you met? What can you share with us about your new skipper and how you feel about that whole thing?
Yeah, I knew about it a little bit. I knew we were talking to him, and then I think I knew a couple days early. And then I reached out to him. We texted a little back and forth, and I was in Nashville actually this last week for a wedding, and I got to meet him in person, which was awesome. He's going to bring a lot of enthusiasm. He's a brilliant, I think, baseball guy, and he just wants. I think the big thing for him, and I think something that is going to be great for us, he just wants everyone on the same page. Like, this is what we're trying to do. The main goal is to win at all costs, and I think it's going to be great. I texted all the guys afterward. I was like, I don't know if anyone's met him, but I did get to meet him. And I texted Chappie, Willie, I texted all these guys saying this guy's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to work with him.
When you first heard about it, Logan, was there any like I don't know, thought in your mind like, well, he hasn't had any pro experience of any kind, playing, coaching, managing. Maybe there might be some veterans that might not totally be on board with that. Was that a concern? Or do you feel like the personality and the experience and the success he's had at the level he is just like wipes any of that out?
Man, I really don't. I don't know how much all that really matters. I think, I mean, there's people that are in the game for 20 years and they get a manager job and they don't do a good job. So it's all, I think at the end of the day, like what Tony wants, which is the unity, the team part, everything, everyone on the same page. I think that's the main thing. I think when you get, you know, we're with each other for a long time. And there's times when you're sick of each other. You know, it's like when things aren't going well. There were lots of times this year where, you know, there's long stretches, right? You lose 14 of 15 at home, whatever the number was. I think at the end of the day, you find a guy like Tony who is going to try to keep the room together and try to keep everyone motivated. I think the big thing is like shortening those. You're going to have moments where you might. I don't know what the number is, but I know the Dodgers at multiple times this year had times when things weren't going well. It happens. Like I said, it's a long season, but I think the teams that can keep those periods shorter than others are the teams that have success. And I think that's kind of the big thing that a guy with energy like that will try to bring.
Does Buster and Zach keep you in the loop on who the candidates are? Do they bounce it off maybe the core veteran players to see what they think and get your feelings on stuff?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. You know, I talked to Buster at the end of the year. I talked to Zach at the end of the year. I didn't know any of that was going to happen. They didn't tell me that, you know, Bomo wouldn't be back. But you know, we talk about players. I think Buster and them do a good job of keeping it like two positions. Like I can't tell you what a second baseman or you know, any position. Like I can't tell you who's good and who's not. You know, I don't really know, but I feel like they do a good job of asking about, hey, how do you feel about this pitcher? Not as much as the old regime, I would say. I definitely heard a lot more from those guys about things. I think Buster kind of likes to keep it to himself, which is great. At the end of the day, it's not my job to get the guys, or I think I just got to focus on myself, try to get better in the off season, and you know, try to win as many games as I can next year.
Obviously, there's some staff changes, and JP and Garvin. JP leaving and Garvin's not coming back. How do you feel about those? Those are obviously the guys you worked most closely with, and you know that now you'll be looking at new pitching coach, assistant pitching coach, or bullpen coach, whatever they call that position.
Yeah, it's I've been with JP since 2021, so that's definitely going to be kind of a change for me. You know, I've very close with JP. He's helped me a lot in a lot of different ways. I thought he did a great job last year. I thought Garvin did a great job last year. I've known Garvin before he was with the Giants. So yeah, it'll be different. I'm excited for both of them. Wherever, I know JP's going to Atlanta. He gets to be back with Schwartzy, which I'm excited for him. And I know Antoine's over there too. So that'll be a good staff. And I don't know where G's going yet, but I know whatever team that does get him is getting a great guy and a great pitching coach. So, but yeah, excited to. I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not in the loop that much for all this stuff, so I don't know. But I'm sure Buster's gonna pick a great guy. I know Tony will pick a great guy. So excited to work with whoever. I think too, it gets to the point where, you know, as a veteran guy, I'm not saying I do need, but not as much as I did when I was younger. So really it's just getting on the same page with whoever they bring in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Well, you can text Buster that you want Max Scherzer to be a Giant next year.
Yeah.
No, but I was going to ask you that, like maybe a little bit deeper into like, it's your 8th year in the big leagues. You're a salty veteran now. Like there's certain hitting coaches that spoke my love language, some that didn't. And when they don't, it's frustrating and you're just not speaking the same language. So at this point in your career, like you just said, kind of, it's not that important, but you talked about JP and the holding the runners and and
It is.
got
It.
you a
I'm okay. I'm
Go-Cats.
going to
No,
rephrase that.
no,
It
no,
is
but
very important.
okay. Yeah. So how important is it to you at this point in your career this long-winded question?
I guess what I was kind of saying was more like the scouting part of it. Like before a game. I think also too with like catch play and bullpens. Like it's more. I would say with the older guys, it's more like, hey, do you see anything? Like I'm throwing a bullpen. I know what I'm seeing. I know what I'm feeling. I'm to the point now where I feel like I can change on my own. Like I know that that's not right. But it's nice to have, and that's what was great about JP is I've had him for so long where I could be like, hey, what am I doing? And he could be like, remember when we did this in 2022 and it got you right back. So I guess it is very, very important. And I was kind of more thinking the scouting part of things and stuff like that.
Oh, that
Well,
makes sense.
you mentioned, Buster sometimes and the previous administration bouncing some stuff off of you about, potential free agents and additions and stuff like that. We're kind of up to that time again. I talked to Greg Johnson last week, and he mentioned he thinks that you guys need at least one more veteran starter, depending on what happens with Justin Verlander and whether he comes back or not.
Yeah.
Maybe two. So obviously Scherzer's name's out there for obvious reasons. Justin's out there. How do you kind of see things? Do you feel like you need another veteran starter or two? And do you have any insights?
Um, I no, I think this was a lot of weird things happened this year. Justin gets hurt, kind of in a tough part of the year, and then Roop getting hurt really hurt us in San Diego. And then, there were some other things that happened. I still think the organization and all of us think the world of Hayden Birdsong. I think, like I said, just some weird stuff happened. I think there's still a bright future for Hayden, and we're excited about that. And there's some other guys you can be really excited about. I think Hunt's a really good pitcher. There's a ton of young guys down there. I think Trevor McDonald at the end of the year was, really impressive. We got to see him the year before, like the last game. He was like a spot. Hey, let's throw 3 innings, and he did amazing. And then this year he came in, and I thought he did a great job again. So. There's a lot of really good pieces that we have. Obviously, me and Robbie, and I would love to have Justin back. I thought Justin back to the kind of the scouting part of things helped me so much in my career. Not only just the mentality, the scouting part of it, reading different things that I might, not have seen before, and um, I would love Justin to come back. Like I said, it's not my decision. I don't get to decide these things. I saw the Max thing. I know Tony knows him from a long time ago. So, and I'm sure it would be very similar. Learning as much as I can. And then, yeah, I think at the end, I always try to find guys and get better in certain ways. I've seen a lot of comments about trying to get starting pitching and other spots. So, like I said, just show up and try to get better for myself, and then kind of let the other pieces fall as they may.
You're getting better right now. You just came from your workout. Maybe take us quickly through like what your off-season workouts like, how hard you work, and how that's evolved over the years. Because I know for myself, like that was always an evolutionary process. Like different off seasons were different things. And are you working on anything different, like different pitches or anything? I saw the back and forth with Brent Rooker about the split and the knuckleball, and splits like the thing with Yamamoto now in the World
Yeah.
Series. So take us through like your off-season workout and what you're going through right now.
Well, first off, I'm just trying to get Brent to think of something else, right? Like if I tell him I'm throwing a splitter and knuckleball, he'll actually believe me for a second. He's no chance he actually believes me, but yeah, I think they're always trying to find new ways to get a pitch better. Last off season it was trying to get my changeup back to where it was the year before. It was adding the cutter, trying to. There's always tinkering to try to get maybe an inch more on my sweeper. maybe add a extra tick of velocity, which I try to do every year and it never happens. But but yeah, there's always new things. I think as you get older, you learn your body a little bit better. Definitely, I don't try to lift as much, like as heavy as I used to. I'm not trying to deadlift the world or squat the world or bench as much as I can. I think that was a younger me thing. Now it kind of hurts a little bit more. So it's just trying to. I think it's more maintaining now. I have done it. I've been at the same gym for 6 years now, Push Performance here in Arizona, and I've loved the workouts. I do it during the season as well, and just trying to get better in different areas. Like, I'm trying to make my hips a little more better for, whatever that is. There's always parts of the off season where you're trying to get a little more athletic or you're trying to do different things. So I'm excited about it. Definitely. I thought at the end of the year, there's some mechanical things that I was really excited about that I felt, talking to people, and just trying to keep going with that, try to get better at that.
Wait, you're a strikeout guy now. The 224 strikeouts. You led the National League in strikeouts. Is that your new thing, or are you just blowing guys away next year?
Who knows? Maybe it's a fluke year. I won the Gold Glove. I was the worst defender, and I won the Gold Glove. And I'm not a strikeout guy, and I struck out more guys than I ever have. But no, that's kind of the evolving thing. That's trying to get better in certain ways. Definitely, I think Justin was a big part of the strikeouts going up. Finding new ways to get strikes early in counts, throwing different pitches. I felt like before I'd get in trouble with it too, where I would just kind of heavily lean on my changeup. And if it's the 8th or 9th time the guy's seen it in a game, it's probably not going to be as effective. And learning I can throw other pitches and different counts. And I thought that was really cool. Just try to get, like I said, try to get a little better. I think definitely, I do think the extra velo is a thing. I'm not chasing 100, but I think if I can maintain it a little longer in games, I know I can get to a 94, 95 early in a game, and then by the end of the game it's 92. So if I can maintain it a little better, and that's part of the mechanical things that I'm excited about.
Susan, you ask one more, and I'll ask one more, and we'll let them go.
Yeah, well, I've got the really important one since it's the off season. I'm wondering how you're doing in the fantasy football league.
So in the Giants one, I think I'm in a playoff spot right now. I think I'm 6-4, so not bad. I'm honestly 500 in like every league, which I don't know if I'm excited about that I'm not bad in any league, but I feel like it's been a weird football year. I have one league where I have like 6 of the best players, and they're just not working out for me. And I'm not in the playoffs in that league, but in another league, I don't have as good of players, and I'm in the playoffs. So it's all weird.
I would say I'm rooting for you in the Giants one, except for I think we would all love to see you be the bat boy for a day. So I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
Well, Chappie won the league last year, and his team is not very good this year. So I'm hoping we get to see a Matt Chapman bat boy sighting this year.
He'd actually have to take a day off for that. Have to take a day off for that. I don't know if that's gonna happen. All right, last one, Logan. We let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. This is huge for our podcast. You're our first guest ever. It's been great. I know you just won a Gold Glove. I know a Cy Young means a lot to you too. But what would a world championship in a San Francisco Giants uniform mean to Logan Webb?
Oh, it'd be the best. I came up in an era with, there was a lot of guys still there from the championship years. It was Bum. I'm going to keep naming Bum, Buster, Craw, Bell, all these guys, right? And I got to see firsthand how much it meant to these guys and how much the Giants mean to them. And it was really cool. And then I had my first really full season was 21, and we won 107 games. And I thought there was no chance that any team was going to beat us. I just felt that way, and we came close. Not really that close, but one run away from going to the CS. And I just thought that was how it was gonna be the rest of my career here. Right? It's the Giants. We're just gonna keep winning, and Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. It's starting to get, more and more frustrating at the end of seasons. But it's just something that I want to do. I mean, I think everybody wants, if you play in the big leagues, you want to win a World Series, but it would be especially great to win it in a Giants uniform. I'm hoping I'm here my whole career, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, I got 3 more years left on my contract, and I just hope, hopefully it's this year, right? And hopefully we, Buster goes out and signs all the best players, and we trade for all the best players. But no, I think we're on the right track. I think we got a good core group of guys. I think bringing a guy like Tony is going to be a huge part of it, and I'm super excited for this year. But I feel like I'm going away from your question. Yes, that is something that I hopefully look forward to doing in a Giants uniform.
Well,
All
you
right,
got
Webby
Bruce
man.
Bochy back in the fold too now,
Yeah.
So,
Yep. We got all the guys.
yeah.
Dusty, Boach. You got, bringing Sabes back. Just all the. It's exciting.
It's exciting. Webby, thanks so much, man. I know you're working out. You take time for us. It means a lot to us, bro. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, can't
thanks,
wait.
Logan. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
See you, Webby.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So that was cool.
Fun.
That
That was fun,
We
So
probably kept him a little. We probably kept him a little bit too long.
Yeah, well, we've got other stuff to talk about still too.
I didn't mean to put him on the spot with the pitching coach question. I thought it's like, oh
yeah,
God.
hey, that's all right.
Whatever.
It's all fun. We've got other stuff to talk about.
Well, I mean, just to recap though, with Logan Webb, before we get to that stuff, like you and I spend pretty much every day with him over a 6-7 month period. And we're around a lot of different players. You've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing it for a long time. And we've seen the evolution of the major league player.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to see a guy who gets it, who's old school, who wants to win, that really doesn't even care about the numbers or the awards, that he just wants a championship. And whenever you talk to him about baseball in the clubhouse or in the dugout during batting practice or on the plane or on the bus, wherever, it's always about, like, what can I do and what can we do to get better? He cares about winning so much. And it's just so refreshing to be around the guy. And I've said this on my radio shows before. I think when it's all said and done, whenever he decides to hang him up, I'm not usually a fan of a pitcher being a major league manager, but he would be a great major league manager when he decides to retire someday.
Oh, I think he could do whatever he wants. I mean, he obviously would be a really good broadcaster too, if he wanted to do that. He's got one of those big personalities, but he's also, funny and really, really honest, which is a reporter, those are the guys that you really cherish, is the guys that really care and are very honest and super accessible. Because obviously, look at him; he came to be our first guest, which we're super excited about. So thanks again to Logan Webb for joining us today. But the GM meetings are going on. Always a big deal. And the Giants did make a little transaction the other day, FP, with taking Mason Black off the roster. They lose him to the Royals. So they swung a little trade, sent Mason Black to the Royals. What any thoughts on that? Because a few years ago he put together probably the best season by any Giants minor league pitcher.
I don't really have many thoughts on it because I don't know who they got in return. I do know that Mason Black at times was really, really good. And there was other times where it would go south in a hurry. So I just think if you can spin somebody for somebody else and you like what you see in that pitcher and it makes your team better, I have faith in Buster and Zach that they're always going to make the right move. So that's kind of a side note, to be honest.
Yeah. I really like Mason. He never showed quite exactly, I think, what we expected, but man, really, really smart guy and a good teammate. Like one of those guys, the coaches all loved him, that kind of guy. So, and teammates love him, which goes a long way. Not a lot of news typically comes out of the GM meetings. That's just kind of everybody just sort of taking the temperature of the room before we get going in the winter meetings in a couple of weeks in Orlando. But one thing I have been hearing, and I've been hearing from scouts with several different teams, is there's a lot of interest right now in Luis Matos. You have any thoughts on that? You've seen plenty of Matos the last couple of years.
I think he's been given a lot of opportunities, and there's just a certain part of his game that might be not what they're looking for. And you could say he's been sent to AAA and back with the last regime, but like when you get your day in the sun and you get opportunities, you really got to shine. So there's been glimpses of really good, but there's also been more of like bad jumps in the outfield and the base running and kind of the intangibles that you look for in a winning player. Not that he's a winning player or he can't develop into that, but when you're in win now right mode, I think there's still a lot of development there. And I don't know if the Giants have the patience or the time based on the division they're in and where they're at as a franchise to let that development happen.
Well, my one concern, to be quite frank, is we've seen an awful lot of players come up from the upper levels of the minor leagues in the last couple of years who are not terrific base runners and who, especially among the outfielders, tend to make some mistakes in the outfield. So I don't know if that's a development thing. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but I do hope that that's something that's addressed, because you and I both talk about this all the time. And I think anybody that watches or listens to this podcast a lot is going to learn that's one that, like, we both feel so strongly. You better be able to run the bases well and play your position. Like, there's no excuse for a big league player not to be able to do those things.
Susan, the difference between a parade and a World Series ring was this much because of a primary lead and a secondary lead on a contact play at third base. That's how important base running is. And if I'm Tony Vitello and it's my first day of spring training, which I'm not, I'm just a dork on a show right now, that like I would be like, this much was the difference between a world championship, and we're going to work on this much every day this season. Whatever aspect of the game it is, we're going to work on this much. That's
what we expected last season. What's what the Giants said coming into the spring. Defense and pitching. We can't make mistakes. We're a team that can't afford to make mistakes. And they made too many mistakes. Look, every player is going to make a mistake here and there. Every player. But we just saw too many, and often from the young players. They were making them consistently. And that's just that's they've got to address that. So that's a big one.
Well, I think they are. They think they are. Randy Wynn is addressing that. And I will say this about the last regime, and this is as honest as I can be. And I've talked to current players on the big league roster, and they've expressed the same things to me, that with the Farhan era, it was all about launch angle, exit velocity, spin rate. There wasn't a lot of emphasis on bunting guys over, base running, and the fundamental aspects of the game. But we're seeing the game with the Brewers and the Blue Jays and teams like that evolved into the baseball that you and I grew up, and most of the fans watching this grew up with. So when you have an organization that's just developing swing hard in case you hit it, throw it as hard as you can for as long as you can, and you're getting promoted not based on being a complete baseball player, but you're getting promoted based on your exit velocity was 98 and over this whole week, and you're barreling up baseballs. Meanwhile, you don't know where to stand on a cutoff. You don't know how to run the bases and go first to third. You don't know how to bunt a guy over. You don't even know how to get a guy over with a runner on second and 2 outs, because none of that has been emphasized. So when you see these guys come up and you're like, what in the world? That's all being emphasized now with Randy Wynn running the whole thing, and Buster Posey and Zach Manassian. So what you're going to see in the future from Giants players is a more complete player, a winning type championship player, where maybe it was just all about talent and not your all around game in the past.
Yeah. Well, and you think about last year, they were arguably 2 or 3 games shy of a playoff spot, like 81, not acceptable, but they weren't that far off a playoff spot. You make fewer mistakes, you probably in the playoffs. And at that point, anything can happen. Giants fans know that better than anybody. But, Buster Posey was the kind of player who did everything right. Zach Manassian came from the Brewers. These are guys who know that this is the way to win baseball games, particularly when you're in a division with a behemoth like the Dodgers. You got to do everything right. So, but I do think it's interesting that if the Giants are talking to any of these teams that seem to have interest in Luis Matos, Drew Gilbert, obviously, I think we've all assumed is going to be, at least a regular or semi-regular, but maybe this opens up a spot for a free agent as they look at free agency now, or
Bryce
a trade.
Harper?
Trade.
Bryce
Sure.
Harper? Bryce Harper. Did I just say that out loud?
Did you have some ideas there, FP? I don't know.
I think Bryce Harper would look great in a Giants uniform, because I don't think he's crazy happy based on what I'm reading and seeing.
Didn't he already turn down the Giants once, though? I mean, the money was basically
If
the
you trade
same.
for him, I think he's friends with Tony. He would waive his no trade clause to come play in San Francisco. I really do. And if you want to get as far as where he play, wherever he wants, like play wherever you want. But can he
All
play
right.
second base? Can Bryce play second?
I don't know. Rafael Devers looks like a freaking potential Gold Glove winner at first base.
Whatever.
So who knows?
I mean, there's rumors out there, and you hear things, but I think JT Realmuto, and we should do a whole show on the free agents and who the Giants should sign. Maybe we'll do that next. But look at you, just throwing the font up there. I think JT would be a great addition. I know Patrick Bailey's a Gold Glove catcher, but JT's in his mid 30s, maybe even a little bit later than that. And he's such a leader, and he's such a presence in the clubhouse. And he knows, you talk to pitchers in Philadelphia, and like what he brings to the table, just in his knowledge of, pressing the right buttons, putting the right fingers down. And then he plays against lefties, and Bailey plays against righties, and Bailey hits left-handed, which is right-handed deficient as a switch hitter. And now you have two fresh catchers. And if they both buy in, I mean, wouldn't that be a great 1-2 punch? But I guess the question is, would JT be willing to do that?
Do you trade Bryce Eldridge if you could get, a superstar type player? I'm not necessarily saying a Harper, but because I do think that's a long shot, be super fun. But would you trade a Bryce Eldridge to get a big all-around type player?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
right.
probably blasphemous on a Giants podcast right now. Here come the police, because I said that.
Yeah. They were like, what did you say?
I love Bryce Eldridge, the person, and I think he's going to be a great player.
I
I think when you're in win now mode, is he ready to be the everyday first baseman this year? And that's a question you have to see in spring training. He was hurt when he was up.
The DH. Devers is the first baseman. There's
Okay.
just no. Yeah. And you know what? I do struggle with that. Do you want to? He just turned 21. Do you want a 21-year-old first baseman? I mean, a DH. That's tough to do. Is to stick a kid right at DH. But that's mostly what he did.
Did you trade Bryce Eldridge in a package for Bryce Harper and just go Bryce for Bryce?
You're gonna have to throw a lot of other guys in that pack. I want to see that package first. It can't just be Bryce's.
I think you could do that straight up, but we'll see. Anyways, that's why I'm not a GM, and I'm doing a show on the internet right now.
Yeah. Trade Bryce for Bryce. I do kind of like that, just as be an easy story to write. That's for sure.
Yeah, Bryce for Bryce. All right. Well, podcast number 3 in the books. We got our first guest on, and like the ace of the San Francisco Giants was nice enough to come on. We're going to get big guests. We have Tony Vitello possibly lined up for next week. I got to tease that. And it's just going to be A-listers besides us. I mean, duh. But like, we're going to just have as many Giants guests, and this is going to blow up. That was great. Thank you very much. And like I always say on my radio show, swing hard in case you hit it.